guys, and welcome to How's It Right. My name's Chico and I'll be your host today. Today we're going to do the part 2 video on the Ninja 3-in-1 cooker, and it took me a little time to figure out what I wanted to cook. I wanted to use as many of the functions as I could in one dish for the video. So what I came up with is I'm going to do my version of stuffed cabbage. And to do that, obviously we're going to need our Ninja cooker, and we're going to need some ingredients. And we're going to start with 2 pounds of ground beef, and that can be 70-30 or it can be 80-20 or 90-10 fat content, whichever you prefer. We're also going to need about 1 large onion, I would say medium large onion, cut up and diced. And we're going to need 4 cloves of garlic, and we're going to dice that up nicely, as I did. We're going to need 2 heads of cabbage, which I've taken the core out as best I can on the bottom. So we've got 2 of those, alright. We're going to need 1 package of our Knorr sides, and this is the mushroom, alright. We're going to use that in our stuffing for the stuffed cabbage. We're going to need 3 cans of Campbell's tomato soup, just plain old tomato soup, about 2 teaspoons of black pepper, and 2 teaspoons of salt. Alright, and that's because our tomato soup has some salt in it, and our Knorr sides have some salt in it, okay? And this is the rice, mushroom rice. So hopefully it's going to make a nice stuffed cabbage for us. Now, on the cooking cycles that we are going to use, and let me move some of this out of the way, alright, take the lid off of here, and if you can see the dials, alright, on this side here, this large dial, this is where we have our 3 stovetop settings, the low, the medium, and the high. We are going to be using that. You can sear, you can braise, you can saute on those settings. So that's where we're going to saute our onions and our garlic. Now, the other setting that we're going to use is we move this over to the right. Alright, this dial goes both ways for stovetop, and then there's the oven setting where you can steam infuse, or your baking setting. You can use the rack or not, depending on what you're making. And also there's a crock pot setting, high and low. And there is a buffet setting, which it goes to automatically after a certain time of cooking. When your crock pot cooking time is done, it automatically goes to the hold setting, which is the buffet. On this side, we have a small dial. Okay, I'm just reaching around, and above it there's a timer and a temperature control for the oven, and also that timer works with the buffet setting. I'm sorry, the crock pot setting. Okay, so very simple to use. You just rotate this and you get your temperature set in your oven, push the button, set the amount of time you want, and you're off and running. Now, I want to try and do this using only 1 pot. That's the whole purpose that I bought this, okay? Now, I was thinking to saute the onions first, but I didn't like that idea because there was a lot of wait time between adding the other ingredients. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to put my whole head of cabbage inside the Ninja cooker. And they both fit, barely. Alright, I mean, you know, this is, but that's probably why they didn't put this recipe in their book. This is my recipe, alright? So I've got my cabbage in there, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add about 2 cups of water, even 3, doesn't make any difference. What we want to do is we want to get these puppies cooked so that the leaves will come off, and then we can manipulate them and stuff them. Alright, so that's the first part. So now that we've got those in there, I'm going to put my water in. Okay, and as I said, you can put, 2, 3, 4 cups in there. This part, we're going to be discarding this water after we're done. We're going to be pulling out our cabbage to let it cool so that we can handle it. And then we're going to saute our onions and our garlic put that in the pan, right? We're going to do that right in the pan, and then we're going to add that to our ground beef, which will have the rice in it. So, let's get going with step one. I'm going to take the Ninja cooker, and I am going to reach around and look, and we are going to put it on the high setting. Or actually, no, let's try putting it on the oven setting. And I'm going to take my temperature and bring it up to 350. And I'm going to put my time in there for 1 hour. And off we go. We are ready to cook. So, having done that, the cabbage is going to cook. I'm going to put my lid on. Now it doesn't fit quite tightly yet, but that's okay. It'll still cook our cabbage, and I'm sure that as it cooks it's going to get a little softer, and that lid will start to go down. So the setting we have it on right now is the oven steam infusion. If you were steam infusing something, you'd have the rack in there, you'd put your meat on it, and it would do the same thing. But we're going to use it to cook our cabbage. So on to the next step. Now what we have to do is we have to take and mix our rice and our ground beef together, and then we add our onions after they're sauteed and our garlic, and we'll move on from there. So let's give this a time to cook, and I'll see you soon. Well, we're about halfway through the cooking cycle, and I just wanted to check it out. As you can see, our Ninja 3-in-1 cooker is doing wonderfully well. Everything is going as planned so far. I'm pretty impressed. Well, there's a whole lot of flatulence in there, I'll tell you. So, we'll let it finish cooking. There's about 45 minutes left, and we'll see you soon. Hi guys, our cooking cycle is done. As you can see, the timer is blinking 00, and I believe the red light is still on, and I'm thinking that's the buffet setting to keep our food warm. So let's see how it looks. Alrighty, looks like the Ninja 3-in-1 cooking system has done a really nice job of cooking the cabbage to the point that we want. Just soften it up a little bit so we can get the leaves off, and also make the turns when we stuff the leaves so that it doesn't fall apart. That was a mouthful. It didn't come out quite right, but I think you know what I was saying. So there's still liquid in there. I don't want to throw the liquid out. It's got some of the flavor from the cabbage, and I'm going to use that for our chicken soup, or for our tomato soup. Where the hell did I get chicken soup from? Tomato soup. Tomato. No chickens around here, I hope. Alright, so I'm going to turn this off, right? And kind of hard to do without seeing it, but I'm going to turn it off, and I'm just going to let these cool down a little bit to the point where I can handle them. The pot is very hot. That's one thing you got to know about this thing. It does get hot on the outside. The other thing is there's no bells, buzzles, whistles, nothing that tells you a cooking cycle is over. So you don't expect a beep or a buzz or a ping or anything. One drawback that I wish there was something there just to audibly let you know that the cooking cycle was done. It would help. So maybe these Ninja guys sit in front of the pot all day. I don't know. But with that buffet setting, it's pretty lenient too. So as long as you don't go away for the weekend, you should be okay. Alright, so we're just going to let these cool for a little bit, and then we're going to take them out of here and put them on a bowl or something just to further cool, and also give us a little work area to peel the leaves off one by one. And once we get this out of here, we're going to saute the garlic and onions in this pan. Alright, so we're going to remove the cabbage, remove the liquid, and then use this pan to do our sauteing of the onion and garlic. See you in a little bit. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes, folks, and these things are cooling down to the point where I think I can handle the cabbage. After years in the kitchen, my hands are kind of insensitive to the heat. I've got a pan that I'm going to put them in. I can't really consider this getting something dirty for cooking. All it's going to do is hold our cabbage, so can't count this pan, or at least I'm not going to. Alright, so I'm going to reach in here and pull out these cabbage heads and let them cool further, and begin taking the leaves off. And I'm also going to reserve this liquid that's in here, in this pan. By the way, this is still hot, so I'm going to need pot holders for that. And let me see if we can do it without making too much of a mess. Oh yeah, hot, hot. Hot, hot, hot. And then we're going to take our liquid. Cute little tune going on back there. Everybody always calls when you're doing something. You know how that goes. So there's our liquid. Put that back in there. And as you can see, that was pretty easy to do. So what I'm going to do is set these aside, let them cool a little further, and start peeling off the leaves of the cabbage, which, as you will see, is not a big deal. You just kind of gently pull them off, and you can see they come off very nicely. Okay, and you just pick the next one that's looks like it wants to come off, which it will. Still a little hot to handle, and you have to do them in the right sequence, the ones that are exposed. So basically that's it. You just take your time and pull them off. I've got this one, which I really want to work on because it's got the bigger leaves, and I've got this one with the smaller leaves. So we'll be right back to saute. Alrighty, our cabbage leaves are cooling down, and I've got the cooker set on the skillet setting, which is the stovetop setting. Dial here on high. You'll notice it just says on. There's no temperature and time adjustments on this setting. So let's add our onions. Oop, you can hear them sizzling if you listen real close. Preheated the pot just a little bit, about 5 minutes. Going to add that, and I'm going to add my garlic. And there is no oil in this at all. I did not put any oil in the pot. You can if you want. I decided not to because I'm going to be getting plenty of oil and fat from my ground beef, which is going to be in the cabbage later, in the rolled up cabbage, stuffed cabbage. Now, it's going along nicely here, and I'll get a close-up of it just to show you, but we're going to let it cook for a little bit. Shouldn't take any longer than 5 or 10 minutes. Alrighty, it smells wonderful. That's just onion and garlic. Of course, everything smells good with onion and garlic. Okay, and in a few minutes I'll just take a little close-up of this and show you what it looks like. See you in a bit. Alrighty, as you can see, our onions have sauteed nicely in this pan. There's absolutely no sticking. They made a point about this pan being very resistant to sticking, and I gotta tell you, it just doesn't stick to it. Now, it's brand new. I don't know if this is going to be like one of those green pans there that's good for about a week and then everything sticks to it. I mean, God, even lard sticks to those things. So I hope that doesn't happen to this one. But our onions are done. I'm just going to turn this off, and we're going to add these to our ground beef next. Okay, got my sauteed onions out of the pan on top of my ground beef here. 2 pounds of ground beef. Just going to stir that in a little bit. Okay, I don't want to bore you with this, so we'll do that quickly. Then we're going to add our 2 tablespoons of, or 2 teaspoons of pepper and 2 teaspoons of salt, and our Knorr mushroom side, the rice side. Just going to stir that right into here. Alright, and we'll get this well combined. So it's going to take me a little stirring. And that's it. You just stir this up until it's nice and combined. And we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back, and we've got our meat all mixed up. And I've got my cabbage, all leaves taken apart. And I'm going to try and pick the best of the best. Well, that one's got some holes in it. Ah, there's a nice one, a beauty. Just going to put that on a plate. I'm going to take my meat mixture, and you know, a couple of ounces of meat, about like that. This is a big one, so they're not all going to come out the same size. And then what I'm going to do is just, a lot of people will tell you to take that stem off. I don't find it necessary, you know, and you just roll that over, fold it, side in, fold that side in, finish rolling, bingo, all done. So there's one. I'm just going to put it in my pan here. Got another good looking cabbage leaf here. It's a little frayed on the ends. That's okay. Another glob of meat. You know, you don't want to overdo these with meat. You got rice in here that's going to expand. And plop that in there. Again, roll it over. Fold. They should say bring those sides in just like that. Alright. And then finish rolling it. Seam side down. Put it right there in my little holding area. I'm going to do one more. I don't want to bore you guys to death. This time I'll do it with a smaller leaf. Get a little more meat. Put that in there. Again, roll it over. A little fold. Crimp, you know, seam side down. And put it in my pan. I mean, how easy is that, right? This is just a holding pan. So stay tuned. Alrighty, we're back, and I've got all my cabbage rolls made here. Okay, they're going to be different sizes. Don't get scared. You know, people can have more than one. They're not all going to come out the same. And I've got all my leftover cabbage here. Guess what? It doesn't get thrown out. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, just move that up there. I've got my 3 cans of tomato soup and 3 cups of water, and I'm going to mix that tomato soup and water together. Okay, so dump that out and use our handy dandy little spatula here to get all of it out. And what I do is I just set these cans aside. Don't throw them out, because no matter what, you're still going to have some in there. And as the cabbage is cooking, as the stuffed cabbage is cooking, it's probably going to need a little more water. So, good tip, just take your cans and fill them up with water, you know, and try and get that last amount of tomato soup out there. I remember when they used to buy these things for like 30 cents a can, and that wasn't long ago. Now, you're lucky if you can get them for 75. I mean, everything's going up, the can's getting smaller. I don't know what's going on. So, meals like this, you make it once. If you don't have a big family, you'll be able to eat a few times. And if you do have a big family, you're going to give them a nice flavorful meal for not very much money. I mean, cabbage, I think I paid 50 cents a pound for the cabbage, which is a little expensive, but you know, this time of year, who knows. And you try and stir this up without making a mess like I just did. Alright, just give that a stir. Okay? And I'm going to go off camera for a minute and get my towel. Got my towel. Always spillage around me, you know? Yeah. When I was in school, I was always the one they had to clean up after. Alright, so just going to put this over here. That's got to be the worst measuring cup I ever bought. I mean, it's got a spout, and then it's got a spout on the handle almost, wants to run down that side. Alright, so here's what we do. We're going to put our, oh, sorry, wrong side. We're going to put our leftover cabbage. We're going to make a layer on the bottom. Just spread it out evenly. You know, you don't have to do this if you don't have that leftover cabbage, don't worry about it. But the cabbage is part of this meal. I mean, it's really delicious once it's cooked and everything. And going to lay that nicely on the bottom. And then we're going to take our stuffed cabbages that we made, and we're going to set them in there nicely. You want to pack them in, you know, pretty good, nice and tight. Well, not too tight. You got that rice in there that's going to expand a little bit. And these are all different sizes. Excuse me. So I'm going to roll them up, put them in there. And as you can see, they're not all identical, but hey, that's not the point. The point is to have something good to eat. So, and like I said, if you get a little one, you ask for seconds. Or even thirds, for that matter. Alright, I think these will fit in there nicely. Got quite a few of them. And that's from 2 pounds of beef. So it makes your beef go a long way. And the 2 heads of cabbage. Probably could have got away with 1, but you need those outer leaves for the good rolling of the little stuffed guys. The inner leaves, until you get down pretty good, I mean, you got to get almost to the center before they're not usable. And those are the ones you set aside to make your bottom layer. So look at that. These are going to fit perfectly. Perfectly. Now, the setting that we're going to use to cook this is the slow cooker setting. So today we've used 2 settings so far. The stovetop or skillet setting, and we've also, let me see, and the steam infusion when we cook the cabbage. So that was pretty good. Now, I'm going to take this tomato mixture that I made here, pour it right in there. Oops. Rufus, where are you when I need you? Get over here and do your licking. Okay, so don't worry if that didn't get all mixed up like you thought it would. It's not going to make any difference, because when we put this on slow cook, it's all going to infuse nicely. Alright, so I'm getting the last of the goodness out of here. That's that. Okay, and then I've even got some more of this. Nobody says you can't put some on top. You don't want anything to go to waste. This cabbage is going to be delicious, especially when it's infused with all that flavor from the tomato juice and the onions. And like I said, don't worry about it. Just put it on there. And it also holds in all the flavor. Look at that, huh? There was quite a bit left over, but I got a nice natural cover there. That's all going to be edible. And what's left over, you can even break it up and make a cabbage soup, even with the stuffed ones. Excellent stuff. I mean, cabbage you can use a lot of ways. So, that's it. We've got that taken care of. And the next thing I have to do is put this in our Ninja 3-in-1 cooker. And I am going to set it on the low crock pot setting. And I'm probably going to let this go 6 to 8 hours. So, we'll see you then. Take care. Okay guys, the cooking time on our slow cooker has been completed, and it actually cooked in 4 hours, so I was pretty happy about that. The only thing I'd do the next time that's a little different is add a little bit more, or a little less water, only because the cabbage gave up a little bit more than I expected. As you can see, it looks great. It's full right up to the top with liquid. That's why I said I think I would rather put a little bit less water in there with the soup. This is a great pot. When you're done serving and you've completed your meal, you can actually take this out, put the whole thing in your fridge with the lid, put it right back in here to reheat it next day. Really nice. How did this thing perform? I got to tell you, I was happy with all stages. I was happy with the sautéing, that worked very well. And I was happy with the steam infusion that we did the cabbage. It did it in a short period of time, very quickly. And I'm very happy with the slow cooker mode. As I said, it did turn off, went to the buffet mode, and everything worked as it should have. So for our first experiment here, the cooker did well. I am going to give it a 5. I'm not going to take off any points because of the fact that it didn't have an audible alarm. I don't know of any crock pots that do have an audible alarm, so we'll let them slide on that. So what I'm going to do here, before we plate some up, is I'm going to take that top layer of cabbage leaves off. Just set those aside because we're going to use them again, or not again, but we're not going to throw them out. We're going to eat them, but at a later date. We don't need all of these. So we want to get down to our nice stuffed cabbage. You can see this is really done well. I mean, everything is nice, nice and hot right up to the top, and they smell outstandingly good. These things were making my mouth water the whole time they were cooking. So, as I said, everything looks to be perfect so far. Everything that the cooker was supposed to do, it did very well. So the next thing we have to find out is how I did with the cabbage. So let's just push this aside a minute. Okay, put it where it won't fall off the table, otherwise Rufus will have a real field day. And I've got a plate here, and I've got some homemade crostini, which I made from some homemade bread. I'm just going to lay them out in a nice little design like that, you know, nothing fancy. And I am going to take one of these cabbage leaves here, and I'm going to put that right in the center. And then I'm going to take one of the bigger stuffed cabbages here, pull it right out, and lay that right on top like that. I mean, you know, looks pretty good, eh? Not too bad. You can make a meal look good. And with the crostini, it's nice. And then we've got our spoon here, and we're going to take some of that nice juice and pour that right over that stuffed cabbage and the crostini. Looking good so far, huh? So set that aside, push this over here, and I've got my grated cheese, which is just out of my reach. A little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano, sprinkle that around. Nice helping cheese. I like the cheese. I mean, look at that. Wouldn't your family be happy with that? That looks pretty good to me. So let's taste it. Alrighty, take a nice piece of this cabbage here and slice through it. Oh my Lord, it looks delicious in there. It's scorching hot. So I want to get a piece with the meat and actually break it up a little bit. So let's taste this. Wow. This is outrageous. It is so good. The rice is done perfectly in there. Maybe could use a little more rice. Could add some regular rice on top of that mushroom rice that we use by Knorr. The juice is just delicious, and it's done perfectly. Couldn't ask it to be done any better. Let's taste one of those crostinis. I gotta tell you, the cooker, it's a 5. We're gonna try something else in it just to make sure, but so far so good. The cabbage is delicious. The rice is done. The meat is done. It's not too dense. The sauce is absolutely delicious. That tomato soup with the cabbage goes really well. I can taste the mushroom inside of the stuffed cabbage. Can't stop eating. I gotta tell you, delicious. This whole pot of stuffed cabbage costs $12 to make, give or take maybe 20 cents. There's enough in there for a family of 6 easily. And for a single guy like me, I got 6 great meals coming from that. And what I'm going to do, after I'm done eating this one and probably another one, is I'm going to package them up into containers to put in the fridge. Because I want to have this for the rest of the week. It's really, really good. There's meat, you know, or protein, nice vegetable. The soup with the crostini, absolutely delicious. I give this a 5, I give that a 5, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the real near future. So until then, you guys have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.